Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the September 10th, 2025 meeting of the Brighton Town Board. I'm Bill Maley, Brighton Town Supervisor. It's a pleasure to have you here, whether you're here in the room with us or whether you're watching us remotely on our live stream. We appreciate the public participation in local government. That's what local government is all about. Local government is the government closest to the people. So we really do. We welcome this opportunity. I would ask everyone to rise if you are physically able to do so. Rise in spirit if you can't. For the pledge, let me have Councilmember Warner please lead us. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. This is a tough day. We've seen yet another attack on a public figure. There can be no justification, and there can be no justification for continuing to allow the level of gun activity that we have in this country. We must do better. We can do better. But the shooting in Utah today is a terrible, terrible thing. And condolences to everyone who saw it and to the family of Mr. Kirk. Tomorrow, of course, is the 24th anniversary of the heinous attack on the World Trade Center. It's a day that those of us of a certain age will always remember. So I would ask for a moment of silence in memory of the people killed on the ground on September 11th, 2001, those who were killed in the sky, as well as the many first responders who died that day or later from diseases caused by the toxins they encountered. And one of those volunteers was Brighton's own Zach Zeng, who had been a volunteer with Brighton Volunteer Ambulance, moved to New York City, and was in service that day and made the decision, as so many did, to run towards danger. And we honor him, and we honor the memory of everyone who died as a result of that attack. A moment of silence, please. Thank you. This afternoon, I attended the annual Mercy Bridges Field of Honor ceremony on the Our Lady of Mercy High School campus. Of course, that's on Blossom Road here in Brighton. Mercy Bridges has held this event annually to honor the memory of those killed on 9/11 and to honor the memory of our service members and first responders in general. It is really a powerful moving field of flags on the front lawn of Mercy on the Blossom Road side, and I appreciate the Sisters of Mercy, Mercy Bridges. Mercy Bridges is a program sponsored by the Sisters of Mercy, providing tutors, literacy training for refugees, for other new Americans, and for adults who, themselves, they are looking to improve their job skills through improved literacy. It's a great program, and it's really a very powerful, simple but powerful event. So I thank the Sisters of Mercy for inviting me there. Tomorrow, on September 11th, MCC hosts their annual memorial at 8 o'clock on the MCC campus at the site of what is really a very unique memorial to 9/11. I don't know how to describe it. It is concrete out of which cutaways in the shape of the Twin Towers. And at exactly 8:46, when the first plane hit, the shadows from those cutouts land directly on colored portions of the concrete behind the memorial. And again, first responders are participants, and the gratitude to our first responders for the work they do every day, but of course particularly to those who lost their lives 24 years ago. Monroe County will also be breaking ground tomorrow on a new memorial in Highland Park near the Vietnam Memorial, honoring first responders who died again on 9/11 or after 9/11. And both the MCC and the Highland Park events are open to the public. And yesterday was a very difficult day for our first responders. Every month, we have a public safety committee that meets on the second Tuesday of the month. Yesterday was the second Tuesday of the month, so we had leaders of our chief of police, Captain Jose Caraballo, leadership from the Brighton Fire Department, the Henrietta Fire Department, which serves West Brighton. All were there. Brighton Volunteer Ambulance couldn't be there. But later yesterday, there was a fatal motor vehicle accident that all the agencies responded to on 590. And then, of course, last night, there was the terrible fire, for which fortunately there were no fatalities or injuries, but at the former Ken's Pizza and Brownstein Bagel building on Monroe Avenue in the 12 Corners. And it was a reminder, A, of how important it is to be fire safe, and B, of the extraordinary work that our first responders do, and they do it in collaboration with each other. One of the things I have observed over the years is the seamless way that those agencies work together. And it's a tribute to their leadership. It's a tribute to each of the men and women who serve our communities, whether they're serving in a volunteer capacity or as career responders. They all do yeoman's work to keep us safe, and I'm grateful, and I know my colleagues here at the table all share that feeling. We will be beginning our open forum in just a couple minutes, which of course is the portion of the town board meeting that we hold where members of the public can share their comments with the town board. If you are live streaming us on YouTube, you'll have to log into the Teams stream in order to participate in the open forum. There are details, of course, for doing that on the town's webpage, www.townofbrighton.org. I also want to extend our gratitude to our ASL interpreters. For many years, our ASL interpreters have interpreted all of our town board meetings, as well as many other town special events, and we're grateful for your service. Thank you very much. As a reminder, the agenda for tonight's meeting, as well as all of the supporting materials, are available on the town's website, but they're also available for those here in the room on the table outside the door. But before we do that, we do have a couple of presentations to make. And I'm going to ask Lynn. Lynn, please come join me. Lynn Stiefler. September is Childhood Cancer Awareness Month. Childhood cancer, I didn't know this, but childhood cancer is the leading cause of death by disease for children under the age of 14. Of course, we've talked over the years about guns and how guns kill so many children, but from a disease perspective, childhood cancer is the number one. And Childhood Cancer Awareness Month serves in many different ways to raise awareness of the presence of childhood cancer, breaking down misconceptions about it, but making sure that families have the knowledge and are able to make the decisions to support children as they go through cancer therapy, and also to make sure that all children have access to the best cancer availability. You know, as I like to say a lot, as the old bumper sticker said, think globally, act locally. Lynn, you act locally. And so it's a pleasure to have you up here, and it is a pleasure to present this proclamation, and I'll talk briefly, and I'm sure Lynn will talk a little bit more about the program that she represents. Whereas cancer is the leading cause of death by disease for children in America, with approximately 40,000 children in active treatment at any given time. Whereas globally, more than 400,000 children are diagnosed with cancer each year. And whereas, while there have been great strides in cancer research and treatment over the last 60 years, it is important to know that 1 in 285 Americans will be diagnosed with cancer before their 20th birthday, and that 2/3 of the survivors will suffer from chronic health problems after treatment. And whereas providing support to the children and their families struggling with cancer helps them muster the strength to tackle another day. And locally, Cure Bears for Hope and Love, Lynn's organization, does just that by donating bears and dolls to children undergoing treatment, by continuing to raise awareness of childhood cancer and its devastating impacts. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed that I, William W. Maley, Brighton Town Supervisor, and the members of the Brighton Town Council do hereby recognize September as Childhood Cancer Awareness Month and remind others that even small gestures of kindness can make a child with cancer feel more cared for and less alone. And this proclamation has been signed by the members of the Brighton Town Council, and it gives me, I was going to say great pleasure, but obviously we're talking about a very serious issue that you've addressed. But the gratitude that I have for the work you do. You are out there, whether it's holding events at Rita's or just the many ways that you support these children. So thank you for that work, and I present this proclamation to you. And we can do a little pose here. We'll get one there. And Bridget, I think you're one of you step out from behind the podium.
Thank you.
And Lynn, if you'd like to say a few words, we'd love it.
There's a phrase that if you've ever seen or met a child with cancer, it's changed your life forever. And I guess that's true because I was a pediatric oncology nurse for 30 years and retired in 2010 and missed the kids and missed what I was doing. So in 2013, we started Cure Bears for Hope and Love. And, you know, it's sort of local, but it's also not. The Bears go to kids throughout the whole country and that. And we also work with Cure Childhood Cancer Association as well. And I drag my husband into a lot of things too, so he's used to it. But, you know, it's just, to me, it's something that I'm still involved with, whether I'm retired or not. And whether it's Cure Bears or St. Baldrick's, which normally I shave my head every year to raise money for pediatric cancer research, which is desperately needed because, unfortunately, government funding is non-existent anymore. And most of the funding comes from events like St. Baldrick's for head shaving or Alex's Lemonade Stand. So if you see one of these events, you know, or see a kid selling lemonade for Alex's Lemonade Stand, support them. You know, it's the kids that are making the difference, too. And I want to thank Bill.
Thank you. You know, it really, the personal connection is what means so much. And I want to invite Ginger Ruff to join me here at the podium. Because again, with Ginger, personal connection is what has made you the passionate advocate that you are, and I'm grateful for that. September is also when we observe Ovarian Cancer Awareness Month. And Ovarian Cancer Awareness Month is an opportunity to raise awareness of the impact of ovarian cancer on women and on women's health. Ovarian cancer is a leading cause of cancer-related deaths in women each year. And part of the problem, part of the challenge, is that it is very hard to detect in the early stages when it is still treatable. And any symptoms that there are often look like other much more common, benign symptoms. They can easily be ignored. So again, one of the reasons Ovarian Cancer Month is observed is to raise awareness. And one of the ways that Ginger and people throughout the country raise awareness of ovarian cancer is by turning the town teal. And if you've driven through the 12 Corners over the last few days, as is the case every September, you will see the teal-colored ribbons around trees, light posts, the pergola, all over the 12 Corners. And it is that teal symbol that Ginger and others use to turn the town teal and raise awareness of ovarian cancer. So I'm really appreciative of what you do. You are dogged, and just as Lynn brought family, you brought Robin with you, and it's wonderful to have. So please let me read this proclamation for National Ovarian Cancer Awareness Month 2025. Whereas ovarian cancer is sometimes called the silent disease because its symptoms are often vague and there is no conclusive early detection test for this disease. And whereas ovarian cancer is the 5th leading cause of cancer-related deaths among women and the deadliest of gynecologic cancers. Whereas if detected in its early stages, survival from ovarian cancer is 90 to 95%. But since the disease is difficult to detect early, the 5-year survival rate can drop dramatically. And whereas for just over a decade, local Brighton volunteer Ginger Ruff has promoted the national campaign to turn the towns teal by placing teal ribbons on the trees, lamp posts, and gazebo at the 12 Corners. raising awareness about this elusive disease every September. Now therefore be it proclaimed that I, William W. Maley, Brighton Town Supervisor, and the members of the Town Council do hereby recognize September as National Ovarian Cancer Awareness Month in the town of Brighton. And we thank Ginger Ruff for your work and encourage all residents, not just women, to learn more about this disease in the hope of increasing early detection and saving women's lives. And again, this proclamation is signed this 10th day of September 2025. Thank you for the work you do. This is a small token of our appreciation, but I'm pleased to present this proclamation to you. Thank you. Do a little photo and then give you the podium again.
Well, thank you so much, Bill, for your continued support. This is 11 years that Brighton has been turned teal, and I think you could give the whole speech that I would just give now because you've been such a steadfast supporter, and I really appreciate the opportunity to spread the word. That's really what it's all about. My mom had ovarian cancer, was diagnosed in 2010, and unfortunately passed away in 2013. What Bill said is correct. It is a silent cancer, so the symptoms are bloating, fatigue, weight gain, weight loss, things that women in the Middle Ages, they're in their middle age experience, and they don't know to go get checked. They don't know to raise their hand to their doctor, and unfortunately, there is no screening test. There is some treatment that can be done in the early stages with surgery and chemo, but the further along you get, the harder it is to treat. So when my mom was diagnosed, some of her friends found this wonderful organization, Turn the Towns Teal. It's a national organization. It's not about fundraising. It's purely about getting the word out. And so they have these beautiful teal ribbons that are biodegradable, and they get wrapped around trees throughout the country. You can support public property through a town or city. You can also do private property. And so you'll see in my home in Brighton, the trees around our home are tied. Robin, my daughter, came with me today, and she asked on the way, why do you keep going? You've done this 11 years, so why do you keep going and showing up? And why do you keep tying every year? And for me, it's about spreading the word. So if I can have someone say, what is that? Go look and see Turn the Towns Teal on the ribbons. Go to their phone, look up what is this for, and learn about the symptoms and save the life of one of their friends or family. That's what it's really all about. And for me, it's a special time. My daughters and I go every year and we tie and we talk about Grandma Linda, and we have that special moment, and I really appreciate the support that Brighton has always given us. So if you are listening, I hope that you'll go look up Turn the Towns Teal, learn a little bit more about ovarian cancer, and spread the word to your family and friends. Thank you all.
Thank you, Ginger. Thank you, Lynn. The work you do, again, I can't say enough. One person can change the world, or in this case, two people change the world, and you do it with the work you do, and I'm grateful for that. Thank you both.
Maybe we'll bring you wrestling sometime.
Okay. Now we will begin the open forum. It is the opportunity at the start of every board meeting for members of the public to address the board on any matter relating to the town of Brighton, whether or not it's something that's on our agenda tonight. If you're here in person when we open the open forum and you'd like to speak, please raise your hand. When I call on you, please come up to the podium to speak. I would ask that you please state your name and address. If you're participating in the meeting remotely and you wish to speak during the open forum, you must first join the meeting on Teams, as I mentioned before. And there are detailed instructions for doing that on the town's webpage, www.townofbrighton.org. And if you use that raised hand function, you'll be admitted to the group, and when you're unmuted, you'll be able to speak. Please limit your remarks to 3 minutes, and I will give you a 30-second warning before your time expires. We may not be able to answer your questions tonight, particularly if they relate to a matter that is not on the agenda. And if we can't, we'll try to get back to you at a future time. But really, our goal is to give you the opportunity to share your thoughts, your insights, your questions with the town board, and for us to be able to listen thoughtfully. So I do ask, please direct your remarks to the board and not to the room or to other speakers. Please avoid personal attacks and outbursts of any kind, including applause, boos, or the like during the open forum, out of respect for the speakers and out of respect for everyone's time. I don't think anybody's here with a sign. We don't allow signs to be displayed, but I don't see that happening. We will warn open forum participants if there's an issue with following these rules. Repeated failure to follow the rules or failure to follow other directions from the chair may result in your speaking privileges being ended early, or being directed to leave the room, or even the early termination of open forum. Again, I don't expect that to happen tonight, but in any event, now we will begin the open forum. The floor is yours.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Supervisor, member of the board. I'll be very, very brief. I'm Jeffrey Schwartz, a longtime resident of Brighton. Within the last couple of months, I adopted a dog that came from a puppy mill in Ohio. It's a lovely dog. I would like if there was a a dog park in Brighton that was reasonably close to where I live. I live in Lochterville, close to here. And I understand the county has a number of parks, the closest being in Ellison Park. There's one south of the Thruway in Henrietta, things that are not particularly close or convenient to a Brighton resident. The town clerk was nice enough to inform me that there were over 1,940 dogs registered in the system in 2024. So this is not just for me to have a dog park, but obviously it would be a benefit to other town residents. Buckland might be an appropriate place for it because of the amount of land there. Basically, I would like to have my dog be able to socialize with others. It's an Australian cattle dog and is very good with dogs outside of my particular complex, I found from walking in Highland Park, etc. So I'd like the board to consider a dog park for Brighton that's conveniently located. Thank you very much.
Thank you, and thank you, Dan, for providing that information that I didn't know, actually. And that, I imagine, understates the total number of dogs in town. The dog licenses are quite inexpensive, but not everybody goes to the trouble of getting one. And that's unfortunate because not having that license makes it harder to track down a dog if they do get away. Sometimes dogs may be chipped, but in any event. Oh, of course, yeah.
When I inquired with the county, they have a $40 fee for a license to use their parks. They only have a half a dozen. They're spread out as far as Palma and Sweden, but having a fee for a dog park might help to recoup the costs of any insurance, as well as having that facility created. Thank you.
Thank you. One of the challenges of having a municipality that is very long and drawn out is that you're right, because the Ellison Park Dog Park is actually in the town of Brighton, just barely. The Penfield town line goes through Ellison Park. But it's obviously several miles from Loch DeVille, and the Henrietta one is several miles as well. As we proceed with the planning of a community center, and as we talked at our last meeting, we have submitted a grant application to New York State for what they call a BRICS grant, building recreational infrastructure for community kids and seniors. One of the components, we're really focused on the center itself, but one of the reasons that our consultant recommended a Buckland Park location, there were a number of reasons, but one of them is to be able to leverage all of the land, whether it's the playing fields, the trails, and certainly one of the things that we have heard from residents is an interest in a dog park. There are some logistical challenges with a dog park, and certainly some operating expenses. And as you say, the county has their charge. That's something we would have to look at. But I do appreciate hearing that input and the interest in a potential dog park as we, go forward with our plans. Yeah. If you don't mind, just so the streaming audience can hear.
I'm sorry. Sometimes I take my dog to Buckland Park, and I see there are other dogs and dog walkers there. So if you're looking to avoid any mess that might be left in Buckland Park, having a confined area that's controlled might be appropriate.
Sure.
Thank you very much.
I had a nice little bit of playtime with two of my favorite dogs that are walked on their leashes most mornings over in Buckland Park this morning, so I know exactly what you mean. And of course, we hear from folks concerns about dogs that are not on a leash, and it is, of course, illegal to have a dog out that's not on a leash. Most of the people that use our parks and our trails do keep them on their leash. Most people clean up after their dogs, but not all. So it's a good reminder, and yes, having a contained area. One of the great things at Ellison, and I remember being there when the park opened, they have areas for large dogs and small dogs, separate areas, and they have a water area. Obviously, the creek that runs through Ellison Park, and they've got a little pond area fed off that creek. So in that sense, it's a nice facility. It's not as close as any of us would like. So thank you for your thoughts, and I'm sure we'll all remember them, because it is an issue we've heard about from people. Is there anyone else that would like to address the board during the open forum? I see we have a couple of other people. Are you students here tonight, or from?
Nazareth.
Wonderful. Both Naz?
I'm not a student.
Oh, okay. Thanks. Great. Is there anyone else who would like to speak during the open forum? Then we'll continue on with the agenda. Chris, can I have a motion to approve the agenda?
Do we have anyone online at all?
We don't.
Oh, good. If that's the case, then I move that we approve the agenda.
Second.
Dan, please call the roll.
Councilman Werner,
Aye.
Councilmember Corrado,
Aye.
Councilmember Salzman,
Aye.
Supervisor Manley.
Aye. We have no public hearings tonight. We do have one item of communication from Jim and Penelope. It's hard for me to say that because I've known Penny Weller as Penny Weller for years and years and years, but James and Penelope R. Weller, 85 Kirk Drive. Jim and Penny, I know Jim came in person. I can't remember if Penny was here as well. But Jim came in to speak with us about our plans for milling and repaving the Kirk Astor neighborhood. Bill, did we do both Kirk or Kirk and Astor?
We did Astor last year, we did Kirk this year.
Got it, okay. I thought so, because you wind up really killing access to that
Sure.
one little neighborhood if you do them both at the same
Very
time.
unique area.
Yeah, it really is. And their concern, based on many older houses, some stucco houses that are in the neighborhood, they experienced some damage when the 490 work, the 490, 441 interchange work was being done. And they reached out to us to make sure that we wouldn't be doing some of the same kind of things that caused damage to some of the homes in their neighborhood. And they wrote just the other day, kudos to the highway department for the expert job they did milling and repaving the street. They were full of, I think you saw the letter, I hope, Bill.
Yes.
And so they're very appreciative, and I'll share my kudos. It's great to see all the work that the highway department does, through the summer. You cycle from one thing to the next, and while the good weather lasts, you get a lot done. And thank you for that.
Yeah, thank you.
Can I have a motion to receive and file that item of communication?
I move that we receive and file the communication from the Wellers.
Second.
Dan, please, anybody else with comments about their letter?
I've known Jim and Penny for many years as well, Bill, and both, and particularly Jim, are outspoken. They've
That's the right word.
and generally very effective points of view. But it's a pleasure to receive compliments like this from them.
That's because they're both Syracuse grads, Chris.
I didn't know that.
Point noted.
Must be.
If there's nothing further, Dan, please call the roll.
Councilmember Werner?
Aye.
Councilmember Corrado?
Aye.
Councilmember Salzman?
Aye.
Supervisor Mealy?
Aye. The nice thing about these meetings is you do learn something new every single time. And I did not know that. Councilmember Wilt could not be here tonight. We're moving to committee reports now. I don't know.
I have no
I don't
update.
believe anybody has a specific committee update. So we'll move on to the Finance and Administrative Services Committee. Nate?
Thanks, Bill. I didn't have time to write this down on paper like I normally do, so I'm going to read off my phone. But the Finance and Administrative Services Committee last met on September 3rd. Among the items we discussed was accepting a donation to the third annual Mighty Motors event. I can't believe it's only the third. You guys have it down so well, Bill. I told you that I'd show you the picture of, I've got the picture of my son Mariano with the construction. He's still wearing it around, and my house is still full of truck books. And I've actually run into many families at the farmers market that told me the same thing. So you guys do a great job. It's so nice to see that people around town are recognizing that, donating to
Maybe we
support.
get you a helmet too soon.
All right.
And we did make a book recommendation.
You did.
To you.
I will say I was not there for the last library trip that Mariano went on. We came back with 20 truck books. None of them were the
Mike Mulligan
Mike
and
Mulligan.
his steam shovel?
Right. I looked, but
All right, well.
Next time
on your
I get to the
next
library.
trip,
Yeah.
on your next trip. You may have to put a hold on it. It's such a good book.
That's right. That's right. I'm sure the Brighton Library will help me out with that one. We also approved an extension of the contract for our Historic Preservation Commission. That work helps us understand and preserve buildings that help provide Brighton its unique character. We recommended the approval of the intermunicipal agreement with Monroe County Department of Transportation for the rectangular rapid flashing beacons, RRFBs, that are very popular. I get asked, ever since they went up in Brighton, I get asked about them all the time. I'm sure we all do. And these crossings will go in at Clover Street in Esplanade and Edgewood Avenue in Winter Green Way. And so
More to follow.
with more to come. That's right. More to come. And finally, one other item that I included on here because it just makes too much sense to approve authorizing the supervisor to sign documents with an electronic signature as we continue our efforts to bring Brighton and town government into, to make us more efficient. Our next meeting for the Finance and Administrative Services Committee will be right here on September 17th, 8:30 a.m.
Thanks, Nate. Public safety.
Thanks, Bill.
Chris.
We had our public safety meeting yesterday. The various services attended. The Brighton Fire Department was pleased to report that there were no major incidents, but they did note that their call volume is up about 15%. They couldn't indicate what they thought the source of that increase was, but that's a significant increase.
And boy, did that change.
Oh, boy, a terrible accident.
Terrible accident and terrible fire.
Yes. They attended several community events during September, including school events and neighborhood events and more. They're always, you see them at every town event with the fire trucks. And DPW reported they had no particular services that had an impact on safety, that there were various paving jobs ongoing, but those were well controlled. The police department indicated that through the end of August, 29,029 calls year to date. They attended the First Responders Night at Brighton High School football game on the 5th of September. The 6th, they attended the Bridge the Gap event at Helping Hand Church. On September 8th, they started 5 new crossing guards. And they have one lateral transfer starting on the 11th, which is tomorrow, and September 21 is Public Safety Day. Another important
At the
event.
Brighton Farmers Market.
At the Farmers Market, yes, thank you. And a very important event will be October 4th. That's upcoming, the Rabies Clinic, from 10 a.m. to noon at the Farmers Market on Westfall Road. Is that correct? I'm sorry.
Yes.
At the Farmers Market it will be, the Rabies Clinic?
Yeah, because of the construction at Town Hall. We just
Oh,
don't have the
of
room.
course, thank you. But everyone is welcome to bring their animals to be inoculated for rabies. You don't have to be a Brighton resident. It's a very important event. Henrietta Fire indicated that they had 5,006 calls through the end of August, but that's through their entire district. And West Brighton, year-to-date calls were 617 through the end of August. And they've seen a rise in calls now that MCC is back in session with the students learning how to cook in their dormitory rooms. They did have several calls of significance in their district. They had a boom lift flipped out on East and 390, resulting in a hazmat response as one of the holding tanks there. I think it was, well, I forget, it wasn't a gas, but it was a liquid used, a hydraulic tank ruptured. There was a fatal accident, a motorcycle accident on East Ender Road and Crittenden, which is very unfortunate. All career groups are at full staff. They've hired a few transfers, hired a transfer from Fisher, and they have 7 volunteers currently being onboarded, and their budget process is underway. We also discussed that the 25-mile-an-hour sign on Willowcrest Drive will be installed as soon as we can get a stake out there.
Correct.
And thanks, Bill, for following up on that. The next meeting will be October 14th at 0800 hours here at our temporary town hall.
Thank you, Chris. Christine, Public Works.
Public Works met yesterday on the heels of public safety. Updates were received on numerous projects around town. Town hall renovation is progressing in a timely manner. Structural review of the roof is complete, and it has been, the maximum capacity for solar panels has been determined. The new transformer and electrical connection have been completed as well, allowing for the accessible ramps to be installed in front. And a webpage will be established shortly to give updates on the review, or I'm sorry, on the renovation. And I thank the supervisor for standing in for the Commissioner of Public Works on that update yesterday. You got all your engineering and technical terms right. Waste management, we continue working with waste management to refine some of the changes. The front door service agreement is in the hands of Waste Management at this point. It's approved by the town. We should be getting it back soon from Waste Management so that residents who need assistance with their toters, they will get them. You've got something to add.
Newsflash, yes, Chad did get final approval. Chad will be sending that document out. It's sort of in the nature of an application because, people, who, for a medical or other reason cannot take their toters out to the street. This service is for them, or the option of a smaller toter. Waste Management did sign off on that document today, so Chad will be sending it out to later this week, either tomorrow or Friday, to everybody whose name he already has as having asked for this service. So if there are people out there who are still looking for that front door service, who have trouble rolling those toters out to the out to the street, get in touch with Chad, 784-5224, or chad.roscoe, R-O-S-C-O-E, @townofbrighton.org.
Excellent. It's amazing what happens in 24 hours and change. That's great. Chad is also working on preparing an informational mailing to the households that have been added to the Brighton Refuse, the Consolidated Brighton Refuse District, and that should be sent out in advance of the start of the service in those neighborhoods, and that service does start as of the first of the year. So stay tuned for basically an FAQ that will tell you about the transition to the refuse district. We had good news on crosswalk installations. There will be 3 crosswalks installed on Highland Avenue, one at Council Rock, one at Pelham, and one at Grosvenor. And any additional notes on that?
Not at the moment. Again, just like the speed limit signs, we're waiting for the stakeout to come in. As soon as those come in, we're right on it.
Excellent. That'll make the walk to school a lot easier for people with very little legs going to Council Rock. We are still working with the County DOT on determining a good crossing point on Penfield Road. At this point, we're looking at a crosswalk at Colonial Village. So there will be more to come on that. The other good news, we've already heard a little bit about the RRFBs that will be purchased shortly, and those will be installed at Edgewood Avenue and Winter Green Way.
And Clover and...
and Clover and Esplanade as well. The crosswalk painting, is that anticipated soon?
Yeah,
Or
as
is it
soon
done
as,
already?
as soon as we get the signage up, then
Okay.
we can...
Same story,
Right.
get the stakeout.
Yes.
Got it. We should have a tune to go with that refrain.
Yeah, you really should.
Signs everywhere.
There you go.
Then we can paint the street.
State projects in Brighton. Town staff, Reconnect Rochester, and the Community Design Center of Rochester have provided comments to the state DOT that will be compiled, or I'm sorry, the comments to be compiled and delivered to the state DOT on the desirable elements that we'd like to see in the project when Route 31 is resurfaced in 2028. And Browncroft Boulevard. Town staff are working on an informational page for the work to be done on that project. And actually, the minutes may not encompass completely. Staff are intending to provide information on the website about town projects with redirectors to the state and the county sites on these projects. And in-town projects, Chelmsford Lane culvert replacement. The state DOT has initiated the right-of-way mapping efforts, which moves that along a little further. Superintendent Hafner, do you have further?
No more updates than that at the moment.
All right. The Monroe County Grant Program, the 50/50 support for new sidewalks on county roads. We have approval for funding, and the first segment that will be installed will be Edgewood Avenue from Monroe Avenue to Stony Brook, and that is imminent.
Yes, as long as the funding is in place, we have the contractor lined up and ready to go.
Excellent.
And I don't mean to interrupt you, but I don't remember whether the person wrote everybody or whether it was just me, but I got an email just today, inquiring about the sidewalks. And we did receive approval for 8 different segments totaling 1.6 miles of new sidewalks along county roads. We won't do them all in 1 year. We're staging them. Sidewalks, although they look simple, they require a lot of design work. Those stakeouts that Bill Hafner's been talking about, that's only part of what needs to be done. They need to be designed around various obstacles, utilities, trees and other plantings, fences. Every situation is different. So I'll be getting back to the person that wrote, but just as a general message, because I know a lot of people in town have heard, and we're very excited. We will be getting more sidewalk length funded by the county. Kudos, by the way, to the county for this program. We're taking advantage of it in a big way, but it takes some time to build. So it'll be over the next couple of years. And one of those segments is, in immediate proximity on Allen's Creek to the Allen's Creek Bridge, which is going to be itself a construction project. So we can't do that part until after the bridge has been repaired. So a lot of moving parts, but over the next couple of years, you're going to see those sidewalks filling gaps that we've wanted to get for a long time.
Yeah, and it's a big puzzle, and town staff and those of us at the table here have been very strategic in identifying the optimal spots to fill in and keep connecting our network of sidewalks, connect us to our trails. And we're basically rectifying mistakes of the past where we thought everybody would be getting around in their car for all purposes, and that's not the case anymore. We want to be back outdoors. The last thing that we addressed yesterday in the Public Works Committee meeting was the streetlight maintenance contract. Town staff are finalizing bid documents for contractor selection, and under a separate contract, the town has proposal requests out for replacing 4 damaged poles, 2 near 2604 Elmwood Avenue, and 1881 Monroe Avenue, and 2 near 2980 Elmwood Avenue for completion this year. The next meeting of the Public Works Committee will be Tuesday, October 14th at 9 a.m.
Thank you, Christine. We have no old business on the agenda, new business, reading and approval of claims. Nate?
Yes, Bill, earlier today, I reviewed claims totaling $1,566,837.75. Notable claims include a payment for the repair and the rehabilitation of the French Road Bridge project over Allen's Creek. I believe I said this before, but Bill, that project was finished early, right?
Yeah.
I just like to say
Finished
that.
almost a month early.
I just like to point out when you guys do a great job.
Way before school started.
That's right, which is often. So excellent work. Bill, all the claims appear to be in order, and I move for them to be approved.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, Dan, please call the roll.
Councilmember Werner?
Aye.
Councilmember Corrado?
Aye.
Councilmember Salzman?
Aye.
Supervisor Mealy?
Aye. Nate, I'll have you do this next one because you mentioned it in your remarks earlier.
You got it. Bill, the next matter seeks to authorize the supervisor to obtain a New York State Certificate of Compliance with the Electronic Signatures and Recordings Act and regulations for the use of his electronic signature on state forms. I move that we approve this matter as prepared by the attorney to the town.
Second.
And this relates specifically to the retirement system. So, any further discussion? Hearing none, Dan, please call the roll.
Councilmember Werner?
Aye.
Councilmember Corrado?
Aye.
Councilmember Salzman?
Aye.
Supervisor Mealy?
Aye. Christine?
The next matter seeks to authorize the supervisor to enter into a contract with Barrow Architecture, PLLC, for professional services related to cultural resources surveys in an amount not to exceed $1,300 per updated cultural resources survey and $3,800 per new cultural resources surveys for calendar year 2025, with the option to renew for calendar year 2026. I move that we adopt the resolution before us.
Second.
These surveys are used by our Historic Preservation Commission in making decisions on declaring properties in town to be historic landmarks under our historic preservation law, or sometimes to consider whether a certificate of appropriateness for improvements to historic, already declared historic landmarks in town. So that's what these cultural resource surveys are used for. We have not needed any in 2025 so far, but I think it's possible there may be one, at least one, needed before the end of the year. So that's why it's important to renew this contract. We got a motion. It's been seconded. Further discussion? Hearing none. Dan, please call the roll.
Councilmember Werner?
Aye.
Councilmember Corrado?
Aye.
Councilmember Salzman?
Aye.
Supervisor Mealy?
Aye. Chris?
Next item, Bill, is to authorize the supervisor to enter into an intermunicipal agreement with the County of Monroe for the purpose of installing rectangular rapid flashing beacons at pedestrian crossings at Clover Street, at Esplanade Drive, and on Edgewood Avenue at Wintergreen Way. I move that we adopt the resolution before us.
Second.
I note that there's a couple places where they're called RRPBs in the resolution, and other places where they are correctly called RRFBs. They are rapid rectangular flashing beacons. And thank you, Chris and Christine. I think I heard you second.
Yes. I'm
We've
very
talked
excited
about we've
them.
talked about them. These are for these two new locations, one at Clover and Esplanade, one at Edgewood and Wintergreen, both of which will be very helpful in terms of pedestrian access to our schools, which is very, very important. Any further on that? Hearing none, Dan, please call the roll.
Councilmember Werner?
Aye.
Councilmember Corrado?
Aye.
Councilmember Salzman?
Aye.
Supervisor Mealy?
Aye. Chris?
Bill, the next item is to authorize the supervisor to execute a change order for the town hall renovation with Landry Mechanical in an amount not to exceed $1,862.08, which exceeds the 10% contingency of the contract. I move that we adopt the resolution before us.
Second.
Yes, we have the Landry contract for plumbing is approximately $400,000. We have approved change orders totaling more than 10%. This one is a small one, and fits into a pattern because the building was built 70 years ago. Back then, they didn't really have what they would call today as-built drawings. So they're finding things. And in this case, they found and removed an abandoned sanitary drain vent pipe in our IT room. So $1,800, so a very small change order, but still important to do the work. Anything further? Hearing none, Dan, please call the roll.
Councilmember Werner,
Aye.
Councilmember Corrado,
Aye.
Councilmember Salzman,
Aye.
Supervisor Mealy.
Aye. Christine?
The next item seeks to accept donations for the Highway Department's Mighty Motors event in an amount totaling $300 and amend the budget to reflect said revenue. I move that we adopt the resolution before us.
Second.
And thank you to the three donors who each gave $100. OTM Utility Locating Services, Underground Pipe Company, Inc., and You Dig. And I do dig. I dig their generous donation. Thank you all, and Bill, thank you. And obviously, this was Steve Zimmer's brainchild,
Vision,
and
yep.
he was there and had as much fun, I think, as the kids did.
Yep. Before we move on, I'd also like to thank, a couple different
Yes.
other places that donate Rita's Ice Cream, Italian Ice. They were happy to join us. And Bagelland, they made a little donation themselves. Pontillo's, they helped feed the crew. And Jersey Mike's also, they were there. They had a little game, giving away subs, almost like a tic-tac-toe game. And of course, the supervisor's favorite, Spikes, showed up. Thank all of them.
Yes, it was great to have, and the support from the Red Wings.
I don't think I've seen you light up like that before. All of a sudden, you've seen Spike.
I haven't seen Spike since last night.
Yeah, right.
Thank you, Bill. Anything further? Hearing none, Dan, please call the roll on that motion.
Councilmember Werner,
Aye.
Councilmember Corrado,
Aye.
Councilmember Salzman,
Aye.
Supervisor Mealy.
Aye. Nate, the next one.
The next matter seeks to approve the 2026 through the 2028 Capital Improvement Plan. I move that we approve this motion as prepared by the attorney to the town.
Second.
Let me talk a little bit about the capital improvement plan, because it is a very important and integral part of our budget development process. We take great pride in making sure that that process is transparent, involves community input from our senior leadership team, and recognizes the twin, not always consistent, goals of being fiscally responsible and providing the best possible service for our residents. The CIP is something that the New York State Comptroller recommends that municipalities do. He doesn't require it, and for that reason, most don't. But we have found for many, many years that doing a capital improvement plan really provides us with the visibility, financial visibility going forward, to understand what our priorities are going to be, to plan ahead for how we're going to finance things, grants we might apply for, and the like. It's something we do every year. It's really the first thing we do as we develop the budget each year. We do a 3-year plan, although our greatest focus is on the current year. It's something we do we start with requests from our department heads. It's reviewed by the community volunteers that have been good enough to volunteer to serve on our budget review task force, and I certainly thank them for their work. It's reviewed by our finance committee, and then ultimately it's approved, of course, by the town board. And that capital improvement plan, or CIP as we call it, covers expenditures for things like vehicles and equipment, infrastructure, when we do sewer work, when we pave, all of those matters become part of our capital improvement plan. Construction projects, other similar large capital items. We sort of look at things over $20,000 in deciding whether they should appropriately fall within the CIP. So that's the expenditure side. How do we pay for them? That comes from several sources. In some cases, we borrow. On a regular basis, we borrow for large vehicles, those big dump trucks. The flusher, if you ever see that truck with all the hoses and whatnot, that's the flusher. That's a sewer truck. we borrow for that sort of large equipment typically. Some of our CIP items are funded from grants from various sources. We talked earlier tonight about our sidewalk project. Thanks to Monroe County, we have received $1.2 million, approximately half of the cost of installing 1.6 miles of new sidewalks along county roads in Brighton. That is an extraordinary plan and allows us, as we've talked about, to fill holes to make the community more walkable and safer to walk. So grants are important. We've talked about the huge grant we've applied for the community center. Stay tuned. We won't hear about that probably until Thanksgiving or so. Some of the capital expenditures, usually a pretty small amount, this year we're proposing $70,000, come from reserves as part of the town's finances and as part of what the state allows a municipality to do. We set up reserves for various items, for equipment, for repairs, for quality of life. And then we are able to draw on those reserves for work that meets the legal underpinnings for those reserves when they're established. And then the rest, which includes debt service on bonds that we've already issued, comes from the current year budget. And as we look at the current portion of our capital improvement plan, the portion that goes directly into the proposed 2026 budget, we look at the reserve spending and we look at the current year spending. And as recommended in this year's CIP, is an amount just under $3.7 million. That amount is down about 3% from last year's current portion of the CIP. And again, this is where we get into the challenge we face, trying to be fiscally responsible while continuing to meet service needs. We know going forward, and we will start the next process of submitting and getting review and approval of our full budget starting at our next meeting. We know that some of our large and mandated expenditure items, particularly in the employee benefits area, health insurance, both for our current employees and retirees. If you've been reading lately, the news is scary. You're seeing community rates go up at double-digit rates in many cases. So we are again anticipating these are employee benefits that were required either under our union contracts or through our ongoing commitments to our non-represented employees and retirees. That number is going to go up significantly. At the same time, the retirement system contribution, which is another mandated expense, is going up significantly. Not quite double digits, but
9.9%.
almost.
Close enough.
7 or 8%. Again, a significant and mandated expenditure. And we don't know exactly how much because, you know, every community has, you know, there are 6 tiers in the retirement system. And those tiers don't necessarily have the same rates of increase. So we're trying to be as cautious as we can be on the capital improvement plan, knowing that our hands are tied on a significant part of the remainder of the operating budget. So that's the reason we have the numbers that we're looking at. As we move on from tonight's hope for approval of the CIP, the Finance Department and I will present to you and to the community a tentative 2026 budget at our next meeting. There will be 2 public hearings, as we always do. State law requires 1, but we always do 2. And I think one of the other things that's really important, state law allows that whole process to basically take place after Election Day. We've always felt that when people go to the polls, they don't know what they're, the people they're voting for or not voting for did when it comes to the budget. So we expect, and we almost always are able to do so, our goal is to approve the budget at our second town board meeting in October, and so that the community will know what our budget requirements look like for 2026. Earl, I want to thank you for, as always, the heavy lifting you've done in getting us this far, and more heavy lifting to come. Thank you for that. Thank you to our Budget Review Task Force members. We appreciate they are the conduit for community input. Thank you to the department heads who submitted their requests and who answer our questions when we have them. And thank you to everybody up here who will give thoughtful consideration tonight to the CIP and in October to our budget. I'll shut up. Is there any further discussion on the motion to approve the CIP? Hearing none, Dan, please call the roll on the motion to approve the, and I just want to explain one more thing, because we always talk about this being a 3-year plan. Why does it say plus? Why does it say 2026 through 2028 plus? With our new and improved software, we're in a better position to look a little bit farther out than 3 years. So that plus references some of our longer-term planning and some fiscal, very, very preliminary, very, very early estimates as to what some of those things might cost. So I will ask that you approve the 2026 through 2028 plus capital improvement plan based on the motion that Nate made and Chris seconded. Dan, please call the roll.
Councilmember Werner?
Aye.
Councilmember Corrado?
Aye.
Councilmember Salzman?
Aye.
Supervisor Mealy?
Aye. Thank you, everybody. Christine,
Yes, the next matter seeks to set a public hearing on October 8th at 7 p.m. for the removal and replacement of a 50-inch silver maple at 90 Roosevelt Road. I move that we adopt the resolution before us.
Second.
50-inch silver maple. We've got some beautiful big silver maples, but we also know. And it's really sad when you see a tree like that, but we know that silver maples are among the most, challenging trees, because as they grow taller and wider, they get weaker and very vulnerable to windstorms or sometimes just gravity.
Both. You name it. We've seen it all. Unfortunately, they're at the end of, their lifespan. There's some old trees in this town.
Yeah, yeah. And this public hearing will be held on October 8th.
October 8th.
Any further discussion?
Yes, I just want to note two things. Most of these removals are also recommendations for replacement. So when a tree comes down, we are doing our best to put a tree back in the ground. It doesn't happen immediately. It has to wait until generally springtime.
It would be for next year, the next
in
following
the next
year,
season.
when we remove a tree, let the root system die. We're just we backfill the year prior.
Yeah, so it's a constant process of renewal, in essence.
And they may not go back in the same exact spot due to utilities, other mature trees around it, which may cause that tree to suffer or fail. So, but we one-for-one program.
Yep.
We take one tree down, we put at least one back.
Exactly, and it's done very thoughtfully. The Conservation Board met last night, and that is part of their responsibility. It's to review the trees that are not looking terribly healthy, and those trees come to them thanks to the hard work of our arborist, Kyle Sears.
And thanks to our tree law, which is the most extensive tree law of any town in Monroe County. And in large part, that has resulted us in our having the strongest town tree canopy of any town in Monroe County. And I think that's a kudos and a legacy of former council member Sherry Kraus, who drafted that law several decades ago. Thank you, Sherry.
She did it. She put down deep roots into
She
the
did.
town.
On Park Lane.
So I wanted to be sure that we gave a shout out to the Conservation Board for their thoughtful and expert input, and to Kyle Series for the work that he does.
Yep.
Nobody wants to see trees come down, but when they have to come down, we do it the right way.
Right. And when you read the tree, his reports, as we have here attached on this tree, you really see the thorough nature of the work Kyle does. Anything but sort of slapdash, which is why we are so proud of being a tree city for over 20 years.
And for 20 years to come,
Take
and
good
then
care.
again, and then again.
Absolutely.
Yep.
So we have a motion, it's been seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing none, Dan, please call the roll.
Councilmember Werner?
Aye.
Councilmember Corrado?
Aye.
Councilmember Salzman?
Aye.
Supervisor Mealy?
Aye. And the last matter, Christine, why don't you do that one too?
Sure. The next matter seeks to adopt a resolution enabling the New York State Department of Transportation to proceed with infrastructure adjustments as part of an upcoming project on New York State Route 286, Browncroft Boulevard. I move that we adopt the resolution before us.
Second.
And you've talked about this project earlier. It's a state project on Browncroft, a state road. But the utilities are ours, and in this case, the sewers are ours. And if you look at these documents, you'll see all the various approvals, whether it's RG&E or whatnot, of utilities that are impacted by this project, which starts, has a short distance in the town of Brighton and then mostly is in Penfield. But in our case, there's a couple of manhole covers.
Yep, there's two sanitary sewer manholes that will grant the New York State permission to perform the work on, whether it be adjusted a little, they may adjust it a half inch or whatnot, but they're going to have to adjust them, so this will grant them the permission to do that.
Yeah. Thank you. Anything further? Hearing none, Dan, please call the roll.
Councilmember Werner?
Aye.
Councilmember Corrado?
Aye.
Councilmember Salzman?
Aye.
Supervisor Mealy?
Aye. In case you missed that news flash earlier, yes, Chad now does have the documents approved by Waste Management, so folks can apply for front door service. If they're unable to take their toters out to the street themselves, Waste Management will come to your door and get them. But there is an application that has to be reviewed. He'll be mailing them out to people who have already requested them, but for others, reach out to Chad, 784-5225, or chad.roscoe, R-O-S-C-O-E, at townofbrighton.org. We've also heard from some people who, fairly small number, but who have requested a second recycling toter, and you should also contact Chad if you think you would like a second recycling toter. There is a cost. It's $60 a year for the toter and for it to be picked up, but because we're 9 months into the year, that'll be prorated at this point. I have nothing further. Matters of the attorney to the town.
Thank you, Supervisor. Nothing to report. I would request an executive session for 2 matters leading to the employment of particular persons, and then 2 matters relating to pending litigation.
We will do that. Thank you. Matters of the clerk.
Nothing this evening.
Other than you've been very, very busy, and as always, I watch the time that everybody in your office takes. People come in, it's tax season, but almost invariably, while they're in, there may be something else on their mind, and sometimes it's a clerk-related question, sometimes it's another department, and you and the team there really, I day after day this time of year, and then again in January. Take the time and get people directed to the right.
They've really been holding it down this month because, frankly, I've spent most of my time with my acting assessor hat on because while it's the busiest time of year for my office, it's also the busiest time of year in the assessor's office. And we're limping along.
I know at least one constituent came in and asked Dan, did Dak spit first? And I don't know if Dan answered that question.
The answer is no.
Oh, the sports analogies and taunting is. We may have to throw a flag on.
We're back.
I don't know. Thank you, Dan. Matters of the town board that are not
No, that's it. That's all I have.
sports related.
Bill, I want to make a comment about the waste management contract. We had an extensive discussion about this at our meeting yesterday. Change is hard, and it's certainly different for me. All these years, I didn't know why they were picking up my garbage from behind my house, but apparently I inherited that from the prior owner. I don't need that, nor does my wife. But we're so used to being really spoiled by waste management, and whatever you put out at the curb was always picked up. It didn't matter how it was put out there, they always went out of their way. Now there's one person in the truck and a machine now that picks it up with arms. You can't just leave stuff next to the toter. However, all you got to do is you can go online, ask for a bulk pickup, and they'll come by and pick that stuff that you used to just leave automatically there, but you can call them up, and they'll do that. And I've done it. They arrived on the day as scheduled, and the fellow couldn't have been nicer about it. So as we adjust, I think we're going to find good service will continue. And so far, I'm pleased, and I found that I can put heavier stuff in that big toter, and that machine can pick them up, and I don't have to worry about the 50-pound limit so much, although it's still in place. But nobody's back is going out to lift those big logs I just tossed into the toter this afternoon. But,
Please don't toss logs into the toter.
They were old ones.
Okay.
But they've done a great job, at least as far as I'm concerned.
I think it's important, that those special pickups are for larger items. They're for things like furniture, the sofa you've always wanted to get rid of and finally can. And we have heard some experiences that have not been as positive as that, and some experiences where dates have been given and not, when the day comes, they haven't met them. Chad and I are going to be meeting again next week. I don't remember now which day, but we have a meeting set up with Waste Management. I'm pleased they're moving forward on the front door service, but we want to make sure we understand how they're handling these special pickups, and we want to make sure that they are making every effort to get to residents as soon as possible, and once they give a date, to stick to it. So it is, you're right, Chris, change is hard, and we want to make sure that in this case the change works for as many people as possible.
The important thing is just recognize that we have a different system in place.
Yep.
And it's pretty easy to use it, but you got to make a different approach.
Yep. Everything should go in the toter, and if not, it must be pretty big and call for a special pickup. Absolutely right. Okay. Any other matters of the town board?
Yes, we've got two upcoming dates that you'll want to put on your calendar. One is this Friday, thanks to Councilmember Werner and his brilliant wife, Lissa, sponsoring the last community bike ride of the season with Reconnect Rochester. That ride takes off just over the Brighton line at Norris Drive. I've got the exact details right here.
Lake Riley?
Lake Riley, yes. Starts in front of the Lake Riley Lodge. Everybody should meet up about 5:30. Announcements will be made at 5:45. Interpreting support will be there for our deaf and hard of hearing bicyclists in town. And then we roll off at 6 o'clock. And it'll be about 7-mile ride and about 7 to 8 mile pace. And that gets us back to the starting point by 7 or 7:15, just in time to get the little ones into bed and the big ones can get their post-ride beer. Not provided in the event. The event is free, but please register online at the Recreation website. So that's one terrific upcoming event, and I will see you on two wheels.
Yes, although I will not be wearing my Lycra riding pants, so.
Thank you.
You're free to.
Yes, this is a casual ride. No Lycra required on anyone. None. The other event is on September 29th. The town has the terrific series, the Town Talk series each year, usually a series of 3 important topics relating to diversity, equity, inclusion, and accessibility. The kickoff to this year's series is on September 29th. It will be focusing on the Week Without Driving, a national initiative to get folks to consider the perspective of non-drivers, those who cannot drive, to get around their communities. And so we're asking folks to think about how you get around Brighton without access to a vehicle, whether by choice or because you can't. So we'll have some panelists from the Brighton community, a young person who uses a wheelchair for mobility and does not drive, an older person who was unexpectedly disabled and no longer drives, another community member who's got other circumstances for not driving, and we've got a couple more folks who are just about ready to say yes to us. So we encourage you to come out for that program on Monday, September 29th at 7 p.m. right here in this room.
Thank you. I think that's really going to be a very interesting.
It will be, and I encourage everybody to figure out how you can get here without a car. And when you get here, tell me how you got here without a car. I'm just going to leave you all in suspense with that.
Can we go back to that other building we used to be in?
Yeah, right.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Christine. Can I have a motion to go into executive session to discuss, as John mentioned earlier, a couple of matters relating to litigation and a couple of matters relating to the employment of particular people?
Bill, I move that we go into executive session to discuss employment of particular persons and litigation matters.
Second.
Dan, please call the roll.
Councilmember Werner?
Aye.
Councilmember Corrado?
Aye.
Councilmember Salzman?
Aye.
Supervisor Mealy?
Aye. Thank you again to our ASL interpreters. Our next meeting is not going to be 2 weeks from tonight. Our next meeting is going to be a day later due to the observance of Rosh Hashanah. So our next meeting will be held on Thursday, September 25th, here in this room at Empire State University. I do not anticipate that we'll be coming back out into public session following our executive session. So thanks everybody who stuck with us tonight. Have a good evening, and we'll see you in 2 weeks and a day.